Okay, everyone, welcome in our, I think, to Rakesh third session inside T24 Performance Engineering. Today is a continuation of the previous session titled Transform T24 Performance from reactive troubleshooting to proactive optimization. So today we'll be doing T24 Performance Tuning deep dive, and we'll be talking about plenty of stuff. We'll be talking about the technical challenges, functional challenges, environment, and COB tuning. Today with me, I have Rakesh. And Rakesh, you can say hi, and we can start talking about the stuff.
Hello everyone, welcome to our third session of a tech talk about T24 performance tuning. So in this session, we'll talk about overall performance tuning activities we will have to do for any release, any core banking system, but in specific, it's about a T24. So, to start any performance activity, what we'll have to do is we need a team who is expertise in technical, functional, environment, and support as well.
Mm-hmm.
After that, each team has to uh, get some of the idea on what task they are working. So what we need to do is we need to categorize all the issues in this part. What we are doing is this one. First is the technical changes. So the coding part, it's a development team, whoever is working, they'll get a certain issues which are entirely technical, like programming related things, all those. And
Mm-hmm.
then in case if we have an architect who can design many things in application itself. So
Mm-hmm.
application level changes, parameter level changes that will go to the functional changes where architect leads or functional consultants takes care of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in our team, yeah, we have all these expertises who takes care of specific tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the major part is this environment changes, the environment setup, configurations, files, all those things. So
Mm-hmm.
wherever we find any issues in these environment related things, we'll redirect it to environment changes aspect and then that particular team.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, carb tuning is nothing but combination of all these. Apart from these, we have some other things which are part of carb, like core tables that we will list it down. Majority we know
Mm-hmm.
in what aspect, in what jobs the carb takes more time, and then we also find out what can be done
Yeah.
in these aspects.
Why COP
Let's
tuning? Why COB tuning is so critical, Rakesh?
Like I said, it's not a generic one. It is a combination of technical, functional, environment. All these aspects
Mm-hmm.
comes to add up time in this curve duration. For example, we have CPU issues. In that CPU or memory related issues that adds
Mm-hmm.
up more time to the curve. Irrespective of what exactly curve is doing, other aspects like other parameters will affect curve. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
have to take care of everything. We'll have to identify what is causing the issue and then we'll have to proceed.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to this coding. So this coding, it all started in Globus release for Info Basic and then componentized L3 Java, now Python extensions.
Mm-hmm.
So all these are being used for T24 coding. So in general, whatever we use, we will get core applications from Temenos and local applications or templates, whatever we need to design them for ourselves, that needs to be taken care. For example, a template usually can be of 1,000 lines. And inside this template programming or other programming, what we'll have to do is we'll have to see how many goes up. Before I'm talking in perspective of info basic,
Mm-hmm.
how many go-ups we'll use. Inside each goes up is nothing but it will redirect a part of code to certain section. Inside goes up, how many lines we'll have to define. Uh, in case if there is a lot of lines, a lot of other things needs to be taken care inside that code, we'll use another call routine. Another routine we'll
Okay.
write, we'll call the routine, get the output here and fetch it here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, we'll have to follow a structured way of coding. That's the first thing. And
So
then
when you
performance.
sorry Rakesh, when you mentioned Info Basic, so basically what programming languages are using the T24?
Yeah, Info Basic from Globus release till TAFC. And
Okay.
then in TAFC, also they were using Info Basic
Mm-hmm.
for some time, and then they came up with this componentization coding. They have a table. In that way they have certain routines. They'll call that and get the results like that. A componentized coding came into existence, and then L3 coding came back. Now Python also some of the banks are using. So depends on banks flexibility they are using. Right now L3 Java is the most popular one.
Most popular.
So
Okay. That's what
yeah.
I want to ask. Okay. Thank you.
And then, yeah, performance tuning rules. So inside that codes, we have this for loop, for I equals 1 to n something, and instead of writing, we had something called loop and repeat. Those things we can use. That takes less time. And if statements, whatever we are trying to write, that needs to be in minimized, like less than 60 lines is something we'll have to write that if statements and all those things, and we will have to multi-thread. It's like many agents are doing that particular job. We'll have to multi-thread most of the routines, which are taking more time. So that multi-threading is available in all the uh, programming languages that we can utilize. And things what we can do and what we cannot do, it's there's something called as unique session ID. If we are trying to lock any record with unique session ID, that particular record will be locked and locking issues will be created if it's updating through some other codes or transactions. So for that reason, we'll have to avoid that. And also, cache read, I will have to avoid in most of these cases for single uh, session things. We'll have to use read
Mm-hmm.
rather than the f dot read, the locking ones, like I said. And for things which we need to do is we'll have to use lock this records if you're using multi-session things. Not a single session which cannot update, but multi-sessions it can update. We can also do this not only locking, but cache related things we'll have to take care. And we'll also have to use, there was something called filter routines for that selection and all those things. Those things we'll have to use. So
Mm-hmm.
this pretty much coding, but now this AI came into Anthropic AI came into T24 that will try to organize everything, review everything, but still we'll have to calculate selection time, execution time. There's something called fragmentation time that is
Mm-hmm.
allocated to switch between these codes and everything. So all those things we'll have to check and um, rework on the enhancements which even AI suggested. So
Mm-hmm.
all these things we need to follow for any of the coding. So we'll have to keep in mind that this coding has to be proper in any language and less time consuming, usually multi-threaded ones. And then this comes the parameterization of T24 for high volume clients, which are having millions of accounts or transactions every day. For those, what happens? This Temenos parameter tables, for account statements, related tables, that comes up with a standard settings. So these settings we can change. For example, system parameter file, PGM file, TSA service, batch. Inside this, we
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of options to change. For example, bulking of this transaction, just to example, and changing of selection from direct table to a particular file which we want to include. All those things we can include
Mm-hmm.
here. And some of the tables like user related tables where logs are enabled and OFS related tables where if we want to enable these logs and everything,
Mm-hmm.
that things we can exclude the logging. That will save some of the times. So there are almost 30 to 40 parameter tables like that. We can adjust them, and then that will give us less processing time for any of the transactions or
Mm-hmm.
anything. And some of the account statements, if you want to suppress, we can do it as well. And all those can be done. If you want to know more about it, I think we discussed it in one of our early sessions. You can go through, or you can contact us on this part. Then So till now, the technical part is completed,
Mm-hmm.
and then next the functional part. Just on the high level, we have completed it. Now comes the environment part. In
Okay.
environment, we have taken only few of the details. Here, timeout settings. For example, OFS is giving us a timeout for particular inquiries or versions.
Mm-hmm.
What we'll have to do is, in case if it is necessary, we can extend that OFS timeout for specific transactions, only for specific things if it is required, or else we'll have to go into uh, that particular inquiry or
Mm-hmm.
version and find them, because we can't extend this OFS timeout for any reason. So that's the thing. And about action or JBase agent timeout, we can review whatever the agents are doing and how many number of seconds are allocated for that particular service to execute and shift it to another agent, or
Mm-hmm.
review time and all those things. That can also be reviewed and changed accordingly in case if we know that it is keep on reviewing, it's not working out for this
Mm-hmm.
particular service, we can reduce it and save more time in case of any issues as job stuck, all those things. And we have other thing called browser timeout. There is something called EJB and MDB timeout, which is specified inside the T24 layer, where preferably it should be 3 minutes. No, 5 minutes, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, something like that. But in case what happens if we define a browser timeout less than that, the action will be taken care inside the EJB layer, but
Mm-hmm.
browser will give time. So browser timeout should be at least few seconds greater than the EJB MTB timeout. That's what we'll have to check and decide. And then logging configurations. So like I said, user, OFS related, and we have something called info, error, all those logging related things. Whenever we want only error details to be displayed in the logs, we can change that parameter setting to error and then get those logs only. Or else, if it's a info, all the logs will be tracked. We'll
Mm-hmm.
have to track down where all these things are
Okay.
mentioned, and we'll have to change it accordingly. To be specific, we have something called PHR tool that will, uh, to some extent, take care of this all the timeout issues and logging configurations. That will give us result. This is what you have configured. You can do this instead of this one. Like that will give us suggestion, but depending on
Okay.
our traffic load, we can change these settings accordingly.
So is this PHR tool available for everyone in the T24?
Yes, for now, you can request a distribution team from the Temenos from the client side, not from the company side. Client
Mm-hmm.
has requested, and I think every 3 months they are 2 months or 3 months they're updating their code. So
Okay.
you can get a license for a few days, and you can install it. And again, after a few months,
Okay.
if you want that again, you have to request it again. So it's a straightforward one. You can install it, run all the basic settings.
Mm-hmm.
On the high level, it will give you what are the things which are configured inside your system and what can be changed. All the report, depending on further review and analysis, you can change. You can directly do what it suggests, but you
Mm-hmm.
can add your own research and then change this
Yeah.
accordingly.
So yeah, Rakesh, you mentioned browser timeouts in T24. So do you have any hints how you can improve basically the browser performance?
Yes, this one is this setting of this timings that, but that doesn't improve the browser
Exactly.
performance. Uh,
Exactly.
but that doesn't improve, but it will give us error or
Ah,
timeout issue after some
yeah,
time. But
exactly.
to improve browser performance, we'll have to deep dive into this. What applications we are using,
Mm,
what versions are queries. There we can fine tune. It's
okay.
like inside, if these inquiry versions are working fine, then browser will give us quick results.
Mm,
Or else it will give us late results. So that's how we can do it. And then comes about this environment related file sizing, directory sizing, and file corruption and all those things. So
mm-hmm.
is nothing but whatever the files which we have, we'll have to identify what files we have, how many number of bytes it consumes, means memory usage for that particular files, and we'll have to resize those files accordingly. And directory resizing inside the BNK, we have this Como, um, hold all those files. So these folders, this has to be backed up, not resized. They'll have to take a regular backup. It's like um, the sizing exercise of this BNK directory has to be carried out at least bi-weekly or monthly, depending on the number of memory it writes into that particular folder. They'll have to review, and it's a housekeeping exercise they'll have to
Mm,
do every weeks in order to keep their memory free. And the hint which we will give you is it's not only about resizing, it's also about this something called DLM, data lifecycle management. You can move your records from live to um, archival, I mean live to history, and then history to archival,
mm,
read-only database movement, live to read-only database movement. That stuff DLM you can implement to a gradual, almost you can reduce this file sizes of this by almost 60 to 70%. 30%
mm.
will be in live, but probably 6 months data. And other things you can move it to read-only database. And
Wow.
after a few years, you can move it to Arc. And archival, it stays forever, but if you don't want it to stay there, non-functional things you can delete.
Mm,
And there's something else, file corruption. If you want to resize huge files, like more than 2 or 3 GB, something like that, more storage files. What happens? It will get corrupted. So you'll have to
mm,
check this corruption issue. You'll have to gradually do this file resizing, not at once a year, something not recommended one, monthly once or 3 months once you'll have to do. If you try to do it once in 2, 3 years, you'll get into corruption issues or timeout issues as well. It takes a lot of time to do all those things. So yeah, these directory things
mm,
you'll have to take care. And then comes this environment things. So how to optimize this environment? Yes, like I said, this PHR tool is available that will give you recommendations. And there is some other thing, even after using DLM, the space consumed inside or even after resizing, space consumed will be there. The records will be less, but space consumed might still be there. There we have something called TB database table shrink. Shrinking, we can follow that.
mm,
Shrinking of the record. It's nothing but zipping the existing file which we have in my in the for emails for 30 MB will come down to 10, something like that.
mm.
So that option we have that
Yeah.
we can do. Environment configuration. Yeah, this Q layer, EJB, MDB layer, what is configured. Just for a hint, how we can do is taking data out of T24. What happens? In what layers it moves? And how it goes to other system. You'll have to track down
Mm,
everything. Bringing data back to T24 from, for example, ATM interface, which we discussed last session, time taken from ISO, ATM switch till ATM interface, and ATM interface, how long it's taking, what is the configuration, and after that queues, OFS layers, what's doing. Then comes inquiry versions. Like we'll have to split this part by part and
mm,
then analyze this even further, and then only we will be able to get what is happening inside this environment. And
mm.
that's how we follow it, but we would also recommend it to everyone. Split by split, the time taken we can follow. Then we'll clearly get to know where exactly the issue is, and then we can go ahead.
What about the
And then
sorry, what about the performance testing on the T24?
okay, this load testing. So we have our own performator load testing tool from our side videos that we'll also recommend you for. It's open source tool. So if you
Yeah.
want to do this load testing and performance testing, you can use a performator tool. It's open source. You can just follow the instruction and
Yeah,
do
maybe
that. But
we'll yeah,
actually,
maybe also in the one of our future session we'll show you live for example the how the T24 performance testing is looking on the live environment. That's an idea, and we are using, as Rakesh mentioned, we are using Performator. For me, the most flexible tool to test T24. But yes, we can go back to it in our next section. So yes, Rakesh, before you continue, I ask you a question regarding T24 performance testing. What about the observability?
Okay, observability,
Hmm.
we have Dynatrace for that, but without Dynatrace, what you can do, you have this analyzers, we have this monitors inside the
Hmm.
T24, and Temenos also developing their own COB monitoring solution, but that is specific to only COB. But in order to monitor everything, uh, you need
Yeah,
even Temenos are recommending Dynatrace or any other API monitoring tool for that. You need to have it to monitor these
yeah,
inquiries, services, interfaces, everything,
yeah,
because whatever the solution we have currently don't monitor on this, but
yeah.
Temenos uh, and
You know,
also with
hmm,
Dynatrace, yeah, we have our own
yeah.
first pack service that does everything.
Yeah, I learned through the years that D24 observability, the core banking observability, this is not easy task even for the best observability tools. That like this is not a straightforward and out of the box. You can monitor a lot of things. Right now we have AIs in the, for example, in the tools like Dynatrace or other like the Datadog. You can use a lot of stuff, but when you are talking about the observability of the T24 core, that's not easy going. You need to modify a lot of stuff. And this is one of the reason why we built T24 Fastpack to be able to, fetch these all important metrics from the T24 core banking. That was the reason why we built it. Sorry, Rakesh, but I want to mention the observability because this is like I think also critical element of it.
Yes, you are absolutely right, because whatever we are doing now, we are using this Dynatrace to track all these. So it will give us the time, split by split timing and everything. There we can deep dive and check what is happening again. And with the T24 knowledge,
Mm,
we can find out what the issue is. The solution might be difficult or easy, but we know the issue. So that's how we
yeah,
have categorized it, and we are doing it for ourselves.
sure.
And then, yeah, let's talk about this carb. Close of business is nothing but this uh, dependent on all other things. For example, if the code is not proper, it may take more time. Whatever the local reports which we are fetching, the local routines which we add in reporting stage, if it's not designed properly, it will take more time. And parameter settings. In case any of these account parameters are not set, it is generating more and more logs and all those things. It is consuming more memory.
Mm,
Then again, that will also cause issue. And environment setup will also affect. So in order to run this carb, all the other aspects has to be fixed first. Non-carb related things we'll have to take care. And then we'll come to this carb related things. For example, AA, UOD, and SOD, if you check, it might consume almost 1 hour or 2 hours in most of your cases. And DW export, for example, and all this, we have identified not only 10, many like 40, 50 of these jobs, why it's taking more time. What we have analyzed most of the
mm,
previous customers, lot of time taking jobs from our Dynatrace, and then we also discussed the same with Temenos. We also combined their solutions, and then we also brought up what can be done from our side
mm,
with our observability and what's happening. We have most of the suggestions for these things, but yeah, most of them might be from Temenos themselves to fix some of these things, but some of them are from table level, functional level things. We can change few things like bulking and all those things, and trying to do it in a different way. And then we will try to suggest uh, possible suggestions and fixes for this high job, means more time taking jobs
mm.
and all those things. I think, yeah, that's it for now. From our
Okay,
side, if you want to fine-tune your environment, T24, we have all the experts and categorized solutions. And yeah, you can contact us.
that's awesome. Yeah, and good timing. It's 25. It's after 6 on my end, so that's very good timing. So yes, we have a couple of questions. We have a couple of minutes. We can pick them up. But I
Okay.
want to start from the question from Yogesh Sharma. So Yogesh, that's you have quite a question, and that's a good case study. So we'll contact you after the webinar, and we'll try to guide you on your particular use case. And the next question I will have. Do we have any hints for file resizing approaches? I think you mentioned it already.
But the approaches would be like yeah, we have some kind of statements which we can run in the
Mm-hmm.
backend to figure out which that's already available in the GBAs or
Mm-hmm.
SQL statements. And also we have resize data global. Some of the inquiries are available. That will give us what are the file names, what are the sizes it has, and possible things to pick it up in the first
Okay.
way. And yeah, that's the easy way to pick it up.
Okay. Okay. Next question. What should be considered in database related tuning?
Uh, okay, this database related, yeah, DLM. I would suggest DLM as the first one. And then apart from DLM, this, like I said, the database sizing and shrinking. Apart from shrinking, all the queue level configurations. Suppose if you are running a lot of load, if it is working, for example, one of that statements which you fetch are working properly, but if the load is more, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? The OFS queue level, lot of queues are used, some are stagnant. At that time, we can use the stagnant queues, or we can create our own queues for some of the interfaces and then redirect it to go into that particular way in case if there is a lot of load. So
Mm.
like that, there are a lot of options we can figure out and do it.
Mm.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, the next one, and I think that will be the last one that we'll take. How to deal with DW export taking more time in COB? That's a good one.
Okay, and there are a lot of things. One is this bulking. Like I said, can select a lot of records at a time and then uh, use it to write or read something.
Mm.
Um, Next one is incremental. This incremental is nothing but every day, whatever the transactions which you get, that part alone will be reported
Mm-hmm.
like that. Not everything. Usually, everything will be reported every day. That we can ignore. We have a standard file yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
we can increment it to get today's details clubbed together and then send it across, whatever the changes taken place. And there's another option, the DW export. Usually, they'll combine it with COB, but we can run it as a standalone. We can run
Mm-hmm.
separately, so cup time will be reduced. There are a lot more things related to these locking issues,
Mm-hmm.
code changes and all. But yeah, whichever works out for that particular bank, we'll have to figure out and suggest it accordingly.
That's great. Thank you very much, Rakesh. That was very nice continuation of our previous session. So yeah, we have this session every month. So we are planning to have also guests in our sessions, and maybe some will show you, as I mentioned, some demos of the performance testing and all of the related stuff. So yes, keep tuned. Thank you very much for being with us. Rakesh, thank you. That was very nice to know and to learn some new stuff regarding T24 performance engineering.
Thank you, everyone. See you next month.
Thank you. Bye bye.